Welcome to the MoneyWise Channel. Yeah, on this channel we deal with inspiration and goals. So today I'm going to be answering another email that I got. A person asking me the difference between daydreaming and imagination. They've been watching the videos and they had this question. So I'm going to answer it today. So the difference between daydreaming and imagination. I think I'm going to call this daydream or imagine. Make it simple. So the thing is, it's all a mind thing, right? So we have to understand that most of the time when we think of daydreaming, we have to remember we're just sitting there and our mind just floats off into things. And while it's floating off, it's just thinking about things that we're not putting in there. It's just almost subliminal things or things that's already being in there. So it's not really controlled. Where when you look more at imagination, that's more preset, right? It's when you say, okay, this is what I want to think about. This is what I want to see with my eyes closed. This is what I want to create. So right there, you see that it's more of a controlled and uncontrolled situation when you're dealing with daydreaming and dealing with imagining something. So daydreaming is just happening. It's just something that's just happening. And usually you're working on something else and your mind usually walks away from that. So if you're studying for a test, listening to a professor, reading a book or something, like you'll just daydream and go somewhere else. That's uncontrolled. You don't have total control over your mind at that point. It's basically just wandering, which is crazy because you really shouldn't let that happen. You should try to control your mind a little more and set it, which will put it more into a power situation. That will, because what we see in our mind, we're learning from scientists and many other people that's breaking things down. They're showing us that what you focus on will expand. And where you set your mind at is where it goes. So if you wouldn't let, let's say, a child wandering around in a power plant, you wouldn't want that to happen because it's too much power in that power plant, and you wouldn't want a child to just be wandering around. But that's how you gotta look at your mind. There's too much power in the spiritual world and in this world, physical world. You just don't want your mind to be wandering around, right? Because you don't know what it's going to get caught up in. So it's very important that you use your imagination in that same area to move you along into the things that you want to prepare and build for you and your family. You have to, that's why I always tell people, you need to write down your goals and constantly repeat them in your mind. So when someone say you're daydreaming, you would know that you're actually imagining these things because it's preset. So even when your mind would go to something else, like earlier I said, if you listen to a professor or if you listen to an audio book or whatever, and your mind starts to go away, it's not going to just wander around like it would be as far as daydreaming. It'll still be imagination because you have your brain so preset that once your mind starts to move, and it's going to go right to the things you already made. It's like these tracks are already set in your brain that immediately it just starts to formulate back to the presets that you had already set. Now, most people don't believe that because they say, no, you don't have control over that. But you do. You have a lot of control over what you think about. They have said that most people think about 6,000 different thoughts a day. You have to ask yourself, what do you think about? What is on your mind? What exactly is on your mind? If you're doing 6,000 thoughts a day, what is that? What are you thinking about? Like, you really have to ask yourself, what am I thinking about? 6,000 thoughts a day. So when you start to understand that and you start to really get a good look at that, in your own mind, you want to control some of that. Because if you think you're doing 6,000 thoughts a day and you only can come up with 10 things you thought about, you have to know in your heart and soul that that's ridiculous, right? That's crazy. 6,000 thoughts a day and you only can think about 10. Like it give your brain to start hurting if you have to start to think about those 6,000 thoughts and you only can come up with 100. That's almost extreme for people to think about 100 thoughts a day. So this is how much that computer is working, which is called your brain, invested with the thing called your mind, which is in total control of everything that's going on with you. It starts in your mind first. So if you would just take the time and just set these preset things up, it will get you into the place you want to be. See, it doesn't matter how bad things look, it can change. I've seen so many things change with people in their mind if they chose in their mind to make the move. Now, the power of all this situation where it starts to overlap is because people say, well, it's just a dreamy state. So that's where they get into daydreaming. Well, so is imagination. Your imagination, it is all in this dreamy state, but like I said, it's controlled and uncontrolled. So it's like the little period right when you lay down and you're about to fall asleep. It's a very powerful area right there. What are you going to set your mind on before you fall asleep? What are you thinking about before you take a nap? Because most people don't want to meditate, but that's just a meditation type of form. Can you sit and think? Properly put things together the way you want them to be put together, your goals, your dreams, whatever the situation is, and you set them up so when you're laying there and you're about to fall asleep, it's like boom. Yeah, you fall asleep. You don't know the day or time when you fall asleep. You can't really say, I'm going to fall asleep right at this point. You can't say that. But right when it's happening, if you would just set your goal right in your head, if you would just imagine, control it, what it is you want, what is it that you're after, what's your desire, whatever that is, what do you want to see change? See it in your mind right then. Just focus on it 100%. Just grab it. You got to really grab it, become obsessed with it so strong in your mind that when you have it, it's like boom, and fall asleep doing that. Do that for 30 days. For 30 days before you fall asleep, even taking a nap or when you're going to sleep at night, go through some type of mantra of a list of things or goals or whatever. Set it in your mind what you're after. Really set this thing. Try it. It doesn't hurt to practice it. Try it for 30 days. Try it for 30 days. Just every night, set your intention. And once you set your intention and then that time comes over you, that dreamy state we're talking about, the magical moment, boom, go for it. And once you set it in your mind, when you wake up physically, go do the physical work, because you got to have both sides. You can't be so spiritually caught-minded that earthly good. You still got to do the physical work. So you're going to do the physical work anyway towards your goal, right? So now do the mind work. Make sure your mind is set. Make sure you're focused 100% on that in your mind, just like you're focused 100% in the physical, because you can do all the work on the physical. It's like someone building a building. They can go do the work, but if they didn't in their mind sit down and come up with a blueprint, then how are all these people going to be able to work together? You got to write it down, make it plain, so everybody can go work together. So that means it had to start in their mind. You just can't walk outside with a hammer and grab a brick and start doing stuff. You got to start in your mind. So if you set the intention in your mind spiritually and then you physically do the work, then I can almost promise you. But I'm not going to promise you because I'm not there with you to know if you did the work, so I don't want to mislead you. But if you do the work, you will know. If you're honest with yourself and you give it some time of working with it in your mind and you physically do the work, you will get where you're trying to get. So my answer to you, far as this video, daydream or imagine, you should imagine, because daydreaming is uncontrolled. Imagining, using your imagination, is controlled. Use that. So always remember, plans may change, but goals stay the same. Like and subscribe to the MoneyWise channel. Thank you for coming. Can't wait to talk to you on the next video. Yep.